Right.
When someone else is allowed to tell you how you can feel,
Right.
therein lies the issue.
Right. You can do a lot of things on paper and still not care.
We're devoted to a false peace, which is represented by order. Even if you were at that space.
There's some people that go against that though.
Even
right
if you were at that
disagree with
space.
that right there.
Well, I'm going to lay out my point. Okay?
Right. And there's so many different tiers of this thing, man.
That's why when you hear King talk about, and I know we'll get to second picture, but when you hear King
we can go to number 2. Why is he going to? Number 2 is the King. Go ahead.
Man, Dr. King is it's you're transcendent in thought and it's bigger than you when your words have meaning in different eras, right? And you think about some of the things that King was saying. Right, they were speaking. He was speaking from a spiritual place, right? That was God shining out through him, right? Which is something I think we need to understand. That when you talk about being a person of faith, you're given certain skills and abilities and put in certain positions, not for you,
but for the betterment of the human race.
So when King says a threat. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That's what he's saying. That
he said all out right there.
He literally said it. He literally said, you have to understand that what's happening in Haiti, right? If people are being mistreated there, then
it's happening here.
It's being allowed to happen somewhere else, right? And it's the same thing, man. If you're living in the comforts, right, of your community, but there are other people in your same community struggling, being oppressed, not getting the same opportunities, understand that eventually, if that's not handled, it is going to affect you.
It's going to blow up.
It's going to. And so you look at this picture. This is my favorite King because this is, when you're down.
Martin Luther King, right?
Martin Luther King. This is my favorite. Sorry, I'm talking about the picture specifically. He's in the Birmingham jail. He wrote.
Yes, sir. So he wrote that letter
from Birmingham jail. And if you've ever, if anyone gets the chance to visit Memphis, you can go and see sort of a replica of that jail cell, and you see how small it is, and you see that desk. And I've thought a lot about this, man. As he sits there writing that letter, he is at a space where he's not talking to people that he knows hate him. He's talking to his own clergy, right? His brothers in faith. Very much like Paul.
Very much like Apostle Paul.
And what he says is so defining for this moment.
Yeah.
He says that his biggest frustration is that he's come to realize that the Negro's greatest stumbling block is not the Ku Klux Klaner or the vicious racist, but the white moderate.
The white moderate.
Because they are more devoted to order than to justice.
Or to the formation rather than the reform.
He says that a positive peace is one that is the presence of tension. Right?
A positive peace is one that is the presence of tension.
Because it's saying we gotta
get. So Malcolm said the same thing, and he should be here too. But Malcolm said the same thing about. I was a video I watched of him last week, a clip, and I've seen so many of those too. I have so much in my mind about those two. But how he talks about freedom is not peaceful.
No.
It's not peaceful.
It's not. And so what King is saying in the letter is we're devoted to a false peace, which is represented by order. You see what I mean? So he's saying we're so comfortable. We're afraid to be uncomfortable. So instead of getting to a place of real peace, to a place of real unity.
To pay the cost for
to pay the cost to be
ultimate peace, of authentic peace.
We rather just
be lied to.
Be in order. Right? Now what does that then do? Who suffers from that, right? It's the people who are on the outside. The same folks.
The same folks are suffering.
And so he says we have to be committed to a positive peace, which is the presence of tension, right? The presence of truth, and which is more dedicated to finding justice. And the reason that is so profound to me is because he's saying to these same folks, y'all agree with me in the outcomes, but you disagree with the manner in which I want to take to get there. You keep telling us to wait for a more convenient time.
Who is he referring to when he said you?
He's talking to
the moderate white.
He's talking to white moderates. He's talking to white pastors, actually.
Come on, somebody.
Okay, so when I think about where we are, and I think about some of our
pastors,
leaders,
brother.
Right.
Come on.
I think about our leadership. Frankly, I think about our white brothers and sisters. That it's not about not being a good person. It's not about not being well intentioned. But it's about saying that we have to push ourselves into a place of discomfort. You see, as a person of color or as somebody who's been oppressed, there are even, and let me say this, that can stand beyond color as well. There's a lot of very deeply impoverished white folks.
Oh, yes.
That have suffered tremendously.
Like I said, man, I'm from the so listen, I know.
You've been there.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But when we don't push ourselves into discomfort, these are people who constantly stay in discomfort, right? James Baldwin said to be black in America and relatively conscious is to be angry all the time, right? So you have a group of people who rarely finds comfort. And on the other hand, you have a group of people who are intimidated by even the slightest discomfort.
Tripping over the mask.
That's it.
So, it's so many things. Okay, so I've entertained this thought, and I don't even think I've even shared this with anybody I've talked with yet in terms of garage talk. I've had this thought of, because what you're saying is you can't, unless you're willing to go to a place of authentic discomfort, you're never going to get to a place of authentic peace, or because there's a cost to go. It's a cost to
You're
it.
a trainer.
Yeah, exactly.
You already understand what I'm about to say.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to get to the victory without some opposition. So, mix that in with James Baldwin when he said about to be here to be angry all the time. Well, he's saying to be here to be discomfort all the time. So, is there something that the African American or the black race, historically, even up to this very point, this is I've been in my mind thinking, is there something that we have tapped into because of, and let's just say, like, because of the moderate, because of the orders, because of the orders, it's delivered us to this certain level of discomfort. Have we tapped into something? I think sometimes that we don't understand the power that we possess.
Oh, absolutely.
You've seen Thor. Have you seen Thor?
Yeah.
So you remember the scene where he was getting beat up by his sister, the evil sister.
Yeah.
And she's the one that took the eye out, right? But he has this vision where he sees his dad.
That's right.
And then he's
his
laying
father,
there.
That's right.
Father, he's laying there, and he said, I need my hammer. And he said, you're not the Lord of a hammer. You're the Lord of thunder, brother. It's the thunder, not the hammer. And he said something in that moment too. As the Thor, he said the hammer was just there to focus the power. That wasn't the power.
It was just the tool, brother.
Basketball, right? Sport. It's something that focused my power. The power is something bigger beyond that thing right there.
Good.
And I think somebody like a LeBron is showing us, right?
That's right.
That, okay, the hammer's cool, but I got a bigger power.
That's it.
This thing, right? And I think we got to tap into we have to understand how to use, and I'm going to speak in Marvel terms because I'm a Marvel guy.
That's okay.
Listen.
Hey, listen.
Come on, man.
That's why I say building Wakanda, baby.
Hey, building Wakanda, baby. So we have to tap into, and not just the Black community, but the whole humanity, our whole country, the whole world needs this. But we have to understand and how to tap into and use effectively our vibranium, bro.
No, I think you're exactly right. And here's the thing. We talk a lot about white supremacy and sort of we focus on white folks. White supremacy, systemic racism affects the people that it's been perpetuated against probably more, right? Because you are in a trauma, yes, and trauma is passed down, and so you don't know, you doubt. Remember the little black boy waking up saying, "What can I do?" Right? That's why getting to a mental space is what you're talking about. Getting to a mental space of freedom is so critically important.
And I think we tapped into that.
I think we are tapping into.
We're tapping in, but I'm saying over the course of time we come up out of it, boom, boom, boom. But I think I say it in this respect. We haven't tapped into it fully because it hasn't clicked over into I would say a natural revelation as much as it is a spiritual.
Absolutely.
We have faith. Look, our faith in God is. There's no way we would have made it thus far without our faith in God.
True.
So that's a staple in our community. But like, that has to become something that has to come into our natural, mental, everyday perspective. That this has to be that. And then how do I bring that reality into natural form?
It's hard to be frank, right? It's hard to. It is easier for our generation now to do what you're saying than it has been for any of the previous generations.
Right.
Because even if you think about it, even if you were at that space,
there's some people that go against that though.
Even
right
if you were at
disagree
that space,
with that right there.
Well, I'm going to lay out my point. Okay.
Right.
Even at that space, the walls that were up. Right, during those times. I'm not saying that there are walls now.
No.
Okay?
I got you.
But if you get to a space of freedom right now, like there were
right now,
before.
the social, the social media aspect
absolutely.
of it. That's the freedom in itself,
absolutely.
right there.
I mean, there's so many don't get me wrong. I mean, racism rears itself in a lot of different formats, and we're still being killed. We're still being oppressed. We're still right. I mean, those things exist. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that because of the sacrifices of a John Lewis, right?
Which is the third picture.
Okay, we are outwardly right now making civil disobedience across every city almost in the country right now, right? What these brothers were talking about was that moral arc of justice, right? Is long. But it bends towards justice, right?
Yeah.
And if you look, the only way that it does that is if we force it to bend. It don't bend just on its own, brother, right? Every generation has a responsibility to push it forward. Some do more than others, and so really that's where I'm at mentally, man. Is how do we honor these guys? When
how do we take the baton and run the rest of the?
That's it. What does good trouble look like in 2020? What does good trouble look like in 2025?
We're gonna have to trouble.
We're gonna have to, man. Because unless we're satisfied with what's going on now. Unless we're satisfied with where we're at.
Oh, man.
And I'm just not. I think we can do better as a whole people, man. I think we can do better.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
6.
Come on.
7.
Hey.
9.
And 10. Woo, that's quick. Talking about economics, talking about, there was I forgot his name, but he talked about how Martin Luther King's wife said they didn't kill my Martin over a dream. They killed my Martin over economics.
Come on now. The sanitation workers' strike was a bridge too far.
He said, there's a quote by him talking about he's afraid that he's led his people
into a burning house. Yes. So we must remember Dr. King and the nonviolent movement is a tactic. Okay? It's a tactic. So nonviolent struggle is something that is learned from Gandhi.
Right.
Okay, it's a tactic to move the ball forward. Because what it says is, I am going to play to my brother's moral senses.
Right. So play the game.
I'm going to play the game. I'm going to suffer so that you can see me suffer.
So you can do something about it. You can do something about it.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, that's one way to think about it.
Well, you got
the other way to think about
chess moves out here, right?
Right. The question becomes, when is it worth fighting, right, for your life? And so what happened for King is he did everything the right way.
Yes.
Right? What happens when you realize that they're not going to give you what you so eloquently fought for, what you so peacefully fought for? What happens when they're okay with you, for instance, they're okay with you shopping in their stores because it's financially
gain for
them, but let you try to own the block? No, sir. Right?
Properties and all this stuff.
That's off the table. So what King saw was, oh my goodness,
it's a money game.
Maybe I've led my people into a burning house.
Maybe I've led my people to believe something that's not going
to come to pass, right? And so you can also argue that it was the pressure, the threat of the more violent uprising, right? I give it to you this way. Why did cities all of a sudden start saying, oh yeah, we'll change our policing strategies, we'll change our this? Why did companies all of a sudden start dedicating money to Black Lives Matter movements and to black causes and black economics? Was it because of the nonviolent stuff? Because that had been going on. And when you see a city burning, that tells you, oh, wait a minute, here's another, this is worse than this alternative.
But it goes back to what I said earlier, man. It goes back to, I'm gonna do the thing that the on paper thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the on paper, the politically right thing.
Comfort. I'm going to keep order by any means. This is why this was so. The reason they went through these struggles, man. Think about it now. They went through it. They're teaching us through what they went through. It's like your pops, man, talking to you, right? The reason that they know is because they already been where you been. So when these cats say, man, if we don't get over this white moderation, if we don't get over this having to have comfort and having to have convenience,
or trying to be accepted and all this stuff,
as opposed to saying, hey, we got to be dedicated towards justice, it's not gonna work. It's why John Lewis on his dying day, man, in his dying day said, man, maybe y'all will get us to the place we're supposed to go. Think about this now. John Lewis today was having to watch a world go through the same stuff
that he went through.
He fought, right. So
yeah, exactly. So you know, I've been on record saying, and I say on record, not publicly, just in private friends, close friends, you know, our circles, right? Saying that marching can't be the only thing. But there's people in that context that believe that are going along with that in itself in their mind is it's a tactic for them to be alongside in that.
I understand what you're getting at, right? I went out there and that's
not you.
No.
But yeah,
I understand what you're saying.
But it not only a tactic, and I'm going to use a word that's a word in today's generation too. I'll say tactic and trending.
Right.
Right.
I'm saying from their perspective, this is how I show that I was out there. Right. And you're exact. Now look, here's what I will say. I don't knock anybody for taking any sort of action. But I do say what you said, which is we're not ultimately going to create change if you do this and then you go home and you allow to get back to doing what you was doing. Exactly. But again, you're a trainer. Do you knock the person that at least showed up to the gym that one time?
No, not at all.
You didn't because you know that
the potential's there.
You gotta show up at least once. So that to me is also something that I try to harp in on folks, because here's the thing. I've been out there, right? Like I've been doing this forever. Bro. So I also find it a bit offensive when people who was only out there 3 days want to talk to somebody who just came out there for 1 day. I look at them like, okay, well, you just got out here, right? So we can't be so self-righteous in our fights.
Do you think black people need to march? So, okay.
I think we need to do everything.
No. I know that. And I'm not want to place it. First of all, I don't want to just place emphasis on march and because that's high insight. That's a small game. But yes, we need everything. The LeBron, we need like military format. We need the ground, we need the waters, and we need the air.
Absolutely.
Bro. And so, but as a black person, our everyday experience in our skin, it is the march, bro.
I agree.
And what I'm saying is, if a black person didn't march, right, then it's like, brother, as soon as I open my door every day.
Absolutely. You're 100. And listen.
I walk to my car. I'm every day of my life has been a march.
That is something to be said for the fact that we continue to have to re-traumatize ourselves to get anywhere. You are 1,000,000% correct. You couldn't be more correct, brother. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, you can say it another way. If we could have changed it by ourselves, it would have been changed. Right. Okay. No, you exactly right. And that's why I'm actually a little more heartened by what I'm seeing, which is it ain't just black folks out there. Because to your point, we, if we gonna really get somewhere, it need to be a whole lot of other folks, right, that's out there carrying that torch and holding themselves accountable.